So we talked about compliance. Well, first we talked about fast track, then we talked about compliance. We talked about second round interviews with Billy. And now that you've learned how to hire someone on, you've got a little bit more of the structure of how to hire someone on, what do we got to do next? We got to actually train them and develop them to becoming successful in the field. And again, from a compliance and a sales standpoint. The next speaker that we're going to be bringing up, this is a guy who is, his goal, I was just talking to him before the meeting, his goal is to become a regional consultant this year. So he runs, and again, regional consultant for you guys that don't understand, so obviously you're trying to get, some of you are trying to get promoted to leadership, leaders promoted to assistant managers, managers to owners, and then when you become an owner, the next level in our business is regional consultant, where you've got to have somewhere around 30, 35 offices, and you've got to hit certain qualifications in terms of how much money your team brings in. Well, Matt's a guy in a rare position where his goal is to hit that this year. And he's got 30 plus offices right now. He runs a big part of Vegas. Matt also works with MSOs. So any of you guys that have questions about MSOs, of course he'll have his contact information, but he's been a guy that's been a part of the Tech Expert program that started. He's helped launch the MSOs, big organization. A lot of great knowledge coming up here to speak to you guys. Let's give it up for Matt Cook, everybody.
Hey guys!
Hey what?
How's everybody doing?
Great.
You hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, first of all, congratulations for getting an invite to the meeting. If we were to take a poll and to ask all the managers, not just in the room, but in the entire program, we said, the best blank is the next manager. What do you think they would say? Trainer. The best trainers in the office would be the next manager. It has nothing to do, well, obviously you've got to be able to, if you want to coach a team, you've got to play the game, you have to know and understand how the sales work. But if you're somebody that can go out and do, 30 a week, but you can't teach somebody how to do 3, then obviously we've got some work to do. You've got to be able to attract and retain and build relationships with people from 18, 19 years old, and this is some of their first job experience, all the way to people that have 20 years plus experience, and everybody in between. Most of the time we're attracted to people that are similar to us, but we're going to go over some things that will help you kind of broaden the horizons there. Because picture your office 6 months from now, a year from now. You can't have just one type of individual in the office. You've got to have a good collection of all sorts of people from all different walks of life. First one is the office training. First step is understanding how people learn differently. We're not teaching kids, we're teaching adults, so that throws a couple things into the mix. If you ask a group of people to spell a difficult word, and watch what happens, watch the responses. You're going to, some people, they'll close their eyes and they'll use a fake pencil. Some people will sound it out. Some people are going to, they need a pen and paper to write it down. So that just gives you a glimpse into how different people learn. A good way to find out how they learn best is to ask them. It's a very simple question. Hey Billy, how do you feel that you learn best? What scenarios do you feel like you excel better in? I like asking people who their favorite boss was and why. Ask them what they like about that person and how they talk to them, how they came at them. Like someone mentioned earlier, some people, I'm the same way, I'm more of an old school. I like people getting in my kitchen and tell me what I need to do, and some people are the exact opposite. They don't take a lot of that. First, you have to get their attention, and you can get their attention by jokes and yells and things like that, but you really have to understand and explain the why. If they understand why this is important to them and how it's going to benefit them, that's the best way to get someone's attention. And you've got to be able to present information in all different types of ways. You have some people who are better learning active, some are passive, some like hands-on, some like getting up at the board and practicing the presentation and the side-by-side. Some people like a worksheet. Some people like taking stuff home and reading over, and they're more analytical. And you've got to learn how to adapt and to teach both of those people. All adults compare new information with previous knowledge and experiences. One of my biggest pet peeves when I was training people in the field was I'd try and tell them something or teach them something, and then they'd come back to me with, oh, well, we used to do it this way, or back at my this job, drove me crazy. But what I understood is all people relate new information to previous experiences. So the best thing that you can do is give them analogies for things that they used to do. So if they were a server, if they were whatever the case was, use those analogies. Go back to previous experiences and relate it to that. It will help them through the learning curve. Office training, there's some basics. There's some really simple things that they should know before they hit the field. First thing we can go over is pricing. I like to use things, we call it fully loaded. So for example, our fully loaded price for a choice extra package is $115. That would include regional fee, the package, the pricing, and 4 TVs. So when I'm teaching a brand new person and they've got those 6 numbers that they've got to memorize, so say the choice extra pack is $115 and someone has 3 TVs, what do? Subtract $6. That's it. And it usually helps people with the learning of the pricing. They should know a good deal of the packages. What we like to do is go over the bolts, obviously everything that the package has, you go on it and you add those bolt channels. Have them memorize those bolt channels. Those are indicators. So if I'm talking to a person in Costco or Sam's Club and they say they're a hockey fan, well, I know I got to go with Choice or the Ultimate Package because that's where your NHL network is. Let's set up those little indicators for them. Competitor breakdown and prices, they should know the internet and the phone prices for whoever the competitor is. Each competitor has, 2 or 3 phones, 2 or 3 internet, depending on who you're working with, so they should know, hey, if I've got the X meg internet, my full retail price is going to be $63.99. If I've got basic phone, it's this. If I've got unlimited long distance and all those things to Mexico, then my price is going to be this. But they should know those things going into it. And just a couple hot spots for DirecTV. Obviously, we're the leader in sports. We're the leader in high definition. Hey, sir, if you're buying a 4K TV, things like that, little hot spots that they can start a conversation on. Cool. The pitch. Probably know the pitch before they go in the store. That's usually a good idea. C factors. Explain why it's important to smile. It's comforting. Go over the importance of why it's important to have eye contact. Because it builds trust. And go over the points of why it's important to have enthusiasm. Because that's what builds the curiosity. Go over the timing. Tell them, hey, if someone's walking towards you, you don't want to wait till they get right next to you and say, hey, real quick. Because by the time you get done finishing your sentence, they're going to be 10 feet down, and there's no way that they're going to stop. Tell them to pick a crack on the floor and say, hey, as soon as that customer hits there, that's when you initiate conversation. Get the timing down. And go over the turn and burn. The turn and burn was weird for me coming in with not a lot of sales experience, but a little bit. I was never taught to walk away from my customer. That was kind of weird. But teach them the importance of turn and burn and how we're trying to find those impulsive people. Setting goals and expectation. Myself, most people, when you first start, the majority of your goals are production-based. Hey, what do you want to do today? I want to do 5. Great. We all do. We all want you to go out and do 5. But you have to understand that production is a byproduct of working the systems. If you want to do 5, that means you need to do what? Get at least 5 people back to the table. But let's be honest, are you going to have a 100% closing ratio?
Yes.
Probably, yeah. Probably. So if your goal is to do 5, well, you're probably going to have to get like 20, 25 people back to the table, right? Set the task-oriented goals. Everybody has their production and things like that, that's great, but what are you going to do to get there? Day 1, everybody has a completely different learning curve, but this is a basic of where they should be day 1 through day 5, okay? Day 1, I'm really just having them focus on the pitch and getting people back to the table. When they get those people back to the table, obviously you yourself or whoever's trained, they're going to start the presentation. And then they're just going to sit there and listen. They're going to take notes. And they're not going to do what? Talk. Shh. Quiet. That's the worst thing. We've all been, you've trained enough people, you've been there to where you're working with a customer and you've gone through the pre-zo, it's a great presentation, you got down to the close, you're holding on to your rebates because you're trying to set a good example for the new guy, and the new guy's like, hey, tell him about the gift card, man. Alright, folks, we got a gift card, $200. So make sure, but you have to make sure that they know that, or else you're setting yourself up for that. So day one, just focus on getting back to the table. Watch, listen, please be quiet. Day two, you should be able to do the left side, the fact finding. How many TVs do you have? What do you like to watch? Who else is in the home? Things like that. Going over the bundle breakdown. They've got to have confidence when they go over those things. You can't say, hey, well, sir, when you break your bundle, your internet will be about $50, and your phone will be about $12. Sounds good. No, they've got to know those prices, and they've got to have conviction when they say it. So day two is really just going over the left side, going into the transition, and then passing it off. Day three, they should be doing full pre-zos. It's not going to be the prettiest presentation, but they should be able to go from, hey, folks, how's it going, to, does that make sense for you and your family? Day four, we're going to really focus on overcoming objections. We're going to focus on buying questions. You know, teach them when they say, hey, where does the dish go? The customer is not looking for a 12-minute explanation on where the dish goes and the angle of trajectory that would point the dish towards the satellites. It's, sir, I'm not an installer. I'm the last person you want on your roof. Just fill out basic information. We'll get them out to the house. but teach them the buying questions. Teach them when to be quiet and just put the pen on paper. Day five is just round off day. They're somewhat, you're both kind of solo in the store together. Really just help them to round off. Focus on the weaknesses. One of your best friends in the field will be build, break, build. We'll go over a little bit of that. Expectations. Be proactive. Be preemptive. Tell them, expect to get the Heisman. Expect when you say, hey folks, that people are just going to give them the stiff arms. Tell them to expect that. Tell them that you're going to pitch people and they won't even acknowledge the fact that you exist as a human being. Tell them to expect that. Tell them to expect fee pays. We can't control people's credit. Tell them to expect request reviews, MDUs, because what's better? Taking them out and on day 2, day 3, they get somebody to the phone, they're excited about it, and then they're like, what's my fee pay? Think about it. That's something that you could have preempted 5 days before, and it's a completely different conversation. Expect. So make sure you're setting the expectations. You know, when it goes to setting goals as well, you know, a lot of it's production based, but you know, you want to build the relationship with these people. You want to set little goals for them. You know, they want, hey, if you get 8 people back to the table today, you know, tomorrow lunch, you know, I'll buy. Or hey, when you hit leadership, you know, when you hit leader qualifications, you get promoted to leader, you and I will go to the Lakers game. You know, little things like that. They're basically giving away Lakers tickets now, so it's not that. I just lost that. But tell them what will happen. You look smart. When you set the expectations and you tell them what's going to happen, and then it happens, it looks good. You look good, right? Just like in November, December, I'm telling all my account managers and all the leaders, hey, January is one of the best months for recruiting ever. And then over January, you've seen guys put 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 people on their team who looks like they're smart. Set the expectations and watch it happen. Prep them for 3 types of days. Prep them for 90% of their days are going to be slow A and fast PM. The worst, I know it sounds weird, but the worst first day you can have is going out and doing 7. Right? So, in my eyes, the best first day of training is we're getting our teeth kicked in until about 7:30. And then that last 30, 45 minutes, last hour, we keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep having blind faith, keep relying on the law of averages, and guess what? The last person you pitch. That's the best first day you can have. You're kind of setting your guy or gal up for failure if you go out and do 7. And that's hard to live up to. You're going to have a lot more conversations. In store, really a lot of it comes down to showing them how to handle rejection, showing them how to take those no's. You know, you want to try and try and train less in the store. When you're in the store, you should be doing, and they should be watching, you should be showing them what to do, not just sit back. You know, it starts in the second round, like Billy talked about. During the second round, if you take somebody out with you and all you're doing for 30 minutes is just talking to them, you're letting people just fly by you, and then day one, what do you think they think we do? They think we just hang out in Best Buy and talk all day. That's not the case. So make sure the retraining process really starts in the second round. Show them how to handle rejection. We'll go over build, break, build. That'll be your best friend, regardless of, you know, if people don't mind it in the kitchen or they like a little bit softer approach. Build, break, build is your best friend. Build, obviously, tell them something they're doing good at. Maybe like, your smile, your C factors are on point. Great job. Let's focus on not spending so much time talking to the person in the aisle and just get them back to the table. Okay? You don't need to know how many TVs, what channels they like, who's in the house before you get, you know, in the aisle. Let's focus on getting them back. Sounds good? So you always want to start by something that they're doing good with, then tell them something that we need to focus on, and then build them back up. No taboo. Eddie went over this a little bit. No taboo. Try and stay away from politics, religion. Obviously, a lot of you are very touchy when it comes to sports teams. But you want to set a good foundation. You're not trying to develop salespeople. You're trying to develop business partners. These people are going to be best man at your wedding, godfather of your kids. I mean, these are lifelong relationships that you're building. Make sure you're setting it on the right foundation. There's two different types of people that I could break down 10 versions, but stick with me. There's two types of people in my eyes when it comes to training. There's talkers and then there's walkers. Okay? Talkers have a very high level of communication. They've got a gift of gab. They're very confident. Sales usually come easy to them early on. You've got walkers. They're more systematic. They're more analytical. They've got a really good work ethic. They struggle a little bit at first. Benefits of a talker. Obviously, the sales company, that's how we keep the lights on. That's how we keep the lights happy. Some bad things about the talker, they're not system-based. They're very hard to duplicate. They focus and rely a lot on their personality, their ability to read and recognize, their ability to build rapport and things like that. It's harder for them. They can train another talker, but it's really hard for them to go outside of that. That makes sense? Walkers are usually more diverse. They can train both. They can empathize with an individual that's going through a hard time because they've actually gone through it themselves. Versus a talker, going out your first 6 weeks, you've rolled like one donut, and then someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm in a slump, how do I get out?" Like, I don't know. So, first of all, you have to identify who you are on the scale, if you're a walker or a talker. You know, if I'm a talker, and I'm taking out someone who I identify as a walker, or another talker, I've got to work as hard as it's going to take, as hard as they need to work to hit their goals. So if I'm a talker taking out a walker, as a talker, you don't have to pitch every person. You know, someone goes out and pitches 200 people, you're good at 125. You know, you just have that ability. Well, if you're taking out a walker and you show them that kind of work ethic, chances are they're not going to be very successful at what they do. You've got to take them out and show them the same work ethic that it's going to require for them to be successful. Couple things to remember. This is a very good rule. 80-120. The 80-120 rule. The things that you do good, your trainees will do 80% of that. The things that you do bad, you'll do 120% of that. Make sense? So if you leave the office and you go to the gas station, grab a drink, stop at the bank, deposit something or whatever, and then go to the store, well, that person is going to go to the gas station, they're going to go to the bank, and they're going to stop by Walmart, do some shopping, and then they're going to go to the store. And then the person they train, they're going to go to the gas station, stop by Chase, go to Walmart, go home, play half a Madden, and then go to the store. And the next thing you know, you only have people in the store for 2 hours, right? So expect that they'll do the good things that you do, 80% of that. You can't go out and do 5 apps and expect somebody to go do 10, right? That doesn't make sense. But make sure you keep that in mind. You only get one shot to train people. You really do. Second thing to remember is you'll never build a team alone. It won't happen. You have to use the people in your office. I can list off half dozen people, I won't say, that I benefited from being in the office. You know, a guy like Brian who was, ex-military, and he was good at, things like the closing loop and things like that. Well, if I've got a military guy in training, or if I've got somebody struggling with closing, who am I going to set them up with? Set them up right. Use the people in your office. You've all got strengths, you've all got things that you need to get better at, but you'll never get promoted by yourself. It won't happen. Okay? Things to remember. Group me professionals. I love group me. I've been using it for probably over 2 years now, but some of you treat it like a part-time job. You have to have 17 emojis per character. Questions and production.
That's it.
That's it. Simmer down. Last but not least, some of the best advice I can give you is give credit and take blame. When you do good, give credit to the systems. Because no matter what we do, whether it's DirecTV, Cox, Home Depot, door-to-door, Solar City, it doesn't matter. Success is a byproduct of working the systems. And any lack of success is because you're deviating away from the systems. That makes sense? So, when you do good, give credit to the systems. When you do bad, take blame. It's the easiest thing to do is point fingers. Store sucks. Nobody spoke English. Everybody already had DirecTV. Whatever the case was. I was that guy. I'll throw myself under the bus, no problem. I was that guy. If I didn't have the day I wanted, I'd go back to the office and say, man, that neighborhood was, when we had the store, we went door to door or something. Man, that neighborhood was horrible. I don't know how to speak Spanish. Come on, send me, whatever the case was. And the best, probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, and the reason I'm still here is because there was a specific neighborhood. I started in Phoenix. And I went there for 2 or 3 days. Donut. Kept coming back with excuses. And then they sent me out on a power retrain. Some of you will get a chance to do power retrains. Power retrain is when you don't take somebody and say, hey, let's go to my store today, or hey, let's do this. You go to their store that they've been struggling at, and you write apps right in their face. Well, they did that to me. So they sent me out with a top leader, went to my same neighborhood, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, yeah, send them out. I don't care. I love to see this. Perfect. I'm going to roll more donuts. And then the guy that was power retraining me proceeded to just hand me my lunch. It was bad, but it was good because that's one of the reasons I'm still here. That's why when I talk about store traffic doesn't determine your success. Stores period don't determine your success. I have conviction because I was that person. I was that person. So that was probably one of the best things that happened was having them go out and show me exactly what needs to be done. The type of attitude that it takes, the type of work ethic, brush it off those, things like that. It's really easy to point fingers, but give credit and take blame. Cool. That's all I've got for you guys. My phone number and email.